Hi, my name is Carissa Laffey. Today I'm going to be showing you an activity that will utilize the beaches and dunes or the freshwater wetlands on the Bolivar Habitat Preserve. Sumi-E, Contemplating and Recording Nature, is an activity that is developed for grades 6th through 8th, and it is best done during the summer months. This is what your finished composition will look like. Sumi-E is an activity that could be done outside or inside the classroom, but it is an activity that is best done outside while you are looking at nature.
Sumi-E, or ink and brush painting, originated in China over 1,000 years ago as the art of Zen Buddhism. Its simplicity and beauty soon spread to all regions of the Far East, and today it is studied and practiced all over the world. There are two important elements of Sumi-E that make it a great art form to take to the dunes and wetlands on the Bolivar Habitat Preserve. The first element is that studying Sumi-E places humans within the environment as a part of nature with no boundaries between kingdoms of plants and animals, the animate and inanimate, the living and dead. In our Western culture, for example, we are inclined to classify, rank, and distinguish ourselves as separate from our natural surroundings. The second element of Sumi-E is the economy of brushstrokes made to render a painting. The fewer brushstrokes used to render a bird in flight or a clump of beach grass bending with the wind, the better one is as an artist according to Sumi-E masters. In other words, less is more. In fact, Sumi-E masters actually count the number of brushstrokes made in a completed composition to determine its excellence or its need for improvement.
Take your students to the beaches and dunes or the fresh and saltwater wetlands on the Bolivar Habitat Preserve. Take turns isolating different things in the environment. It can be things like a clump of rocks or shells, or even maybe some grasses or flowers. Have your students study their chosen subject and then make a decision of what parts of their composition will require a thicker brush and which parts of their composition will require a thinner brush. To begin your Sumi-E painting, you want to make sure that your brush stays perpendicular to the page. As you are painting, you want to count the number of strokes that you have with your paintbrush, and you want to keep them to less than 25. With Sumi-E, less is more. The more you practice this technique, the better that you will become. Sumi-E can be a really rewarding and calming project. There are a lot of different skills that your students will be learning with the Sumi-E activity. The most important skill is minimalism. This is the whole theme behind Sumi-E painting. Your students are more likely to be asked to draw realistic or whole pictures with the other activities in the curriculum, but for Sumi-E, they're really just creating simple shapes with simple black lines. And they have to think more about the negative space that they carve out with those simple lines than they're thinking about the lines that they choose themselves. Your students will also learn how to create a variety of hues with just one color, and that's black. So they have to think about the dilution of their paint. The more water that they use on their paintbrushes, the lighter that black color will appear. It also has to do with the pressure that they're putting behind their brush. Putting a lot of pressure behind your brush will deposit more pigment onto the paper. The lighter that you're painting, it will deposit less pigment on the paper, so your color will appear lighter. Your students are also going to learn the proper technique of caring for their Sumi-E brushes. A lot of these brushes are made with animal glue. That means that they cannot run it under hot water or it will dissolve the glue on the brush. Sumi-E brushes are best taken care of when they are ran underneath cool water and the excess water is blotted off with a paper towel before they are put away to dry. Some of your students may find it challenging to know which lines on their Sumi-E painting are the most important and how to create and use negative space in their art. In this case, you can show your students some different examples of art that has really good use of negative space. Sumi-E is an activity that can be adapted to younger or older audiences. For younger students who are maybe not quite ready to handle a Sumi-E brush, you can use black washable markers instead. To close the lesson, go around and evaluate each student's piece of art. Try to stay away from words like good or bad and point out the specific details that you enjoyed about their paintings. You can even encourage some of their classmates to chime in as well. As a follow-up activity, you can have your students create a haiku to go along with their Sumi-E paintings. A haiku is a poem that is 17 syllables long. An example is one called The Old Pond, and it goes like this. An old, silent pond. A frog jumps into the pond. Splash! Silence again. This and other examples of haikus would be a great way to inspire your students to write their own. You can also use this opportunity to display some of your students' artwork either inside the classroom or out in the hall to inspire the other classes to make their own Sumi-E paintings.